my fellow film fanatics, it's Siobhan. Welcome back to my channel, Awards Obsession. Oscar nominations morning is coming up in a few days. This is the moment we've been waiting for all award season. I think it's been a really great season. A lot of great international films performing quite well. Just a wonderful year for movies overall. I think we've had more masterful films this year than any other year in the past 10 years. In my opinion, and a lot of my favorite films of the year are getting into Best Picture this year, which is super exciting. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe on my channel so you can see what's going to be coming up for me. That's going to be like BAFTA predictions. We're going to have a lot of reactions, obviously, because there's some award ceremonies coming up, SAG, BAFTAs, then Oscars. It's going to be really exciting. Weird that BAFTA's nominations are coming up after the Oscar nominations this year, but let's get right into it. All right, so let's start out with Best Supporting Actress. So I think there's only 6 women that are in contention for the 5 spots. My number 1 lock is Tiana Taylor for One Battle After Another. She just won the Golden Globe. She has a very beloved performance in that film. The Best Picture frontrunner. I think that she is a frontrunner, which I hate to say because I love Amy Madigan in Weapons, and she is my number 2 right now. I think they're both kind of 50-50 right now of who's going to win. I don't see another individual winning in this category at the moment. So Amy Madigan's my number 2. My number 3 is Inga Ibseter-Lilius for Sentimental Value. I think that even though she missed SAG, she is longlisted at BAFTA. She's got Golden Globe nomination. I think that's good enough. I think that's good enough because we know that SAG doesn't go for international films at all. I thought they might, put Stellan Skarsgård in there, maybe casting, but they just didn't go for it. But she has such a strong performance in Sentimental Value. She's a scene stealer. So I am including her at my number 3. Number 4, I have Wunmi Mosaku. I almost put her in number 3, but for Sinners, I think that this film is just so strong. Longlisted at BAFTAs everywhere, every category that could have gotten in. So I think that her performance is very strong for the Oscars. It wasn't in the beginning. Before the Oscar season really started, I don't think many people were predicting her to get in. They had her number 6, number 7. She's gained a lot of momentum recently for her performance. I just think it makes sense to get in, right? So I do have her number 4. Number 5 is very contentious at this point. I think that Odessa Zion has been getting more momentum, like I said, from SAG, from longlist at BAFTA. There could be some vote splitting between her and Gwyneth Paltrow, who hasn't been really showing up this award season at all, which is kind of surprising, right? Because she's hasn't been in the awards conversation for over 10 years for anything. She hasn't been in a very serious movie other than Marvel films and then Mordecai. So I think her performance as Marty Supreme could surprise, at the end of the day. She could maybe pull a Judi Dench for Belfast over Ketchy and Buffa. I think that's going to be something to look out for Marty Supreme. Marty Supreme is a very strong film, but Odessa Zion just seems to be the Monica Barbera of the season. So I'm going to be including her in my 5, I think, over Ariana Grande for Wicked for Good. So I think that's just the stats of having repeat performance. She's been getting it everywhere, right? So it is something that could happen over Odessa Zion. I think that she has a stronger performance in the second film for Good, but Wicked for Good has been missing everywhere for picture. I think the SAG needed that casting nomination, really. I mean, she did get this nomination for Best Supporting Actress at SAG, which is good. I thought she was going to miss it, honestly. I think that she's very strong for number 5 as well, but it's hard for me to rationalize when the statistic, if Cynthia Erivo's not getting for Wicked, I have a hard time believing that Ariana Grande is going to get in this year for her performance as Glinda, so I don't have her in as my top 5 right now. I think there's a few surprises that might happen. Maybe Emily Watson gets in for Hamnet, which is very strong for Best Picture. It did win Best Picture at the Golden Globes. It's probably going to, could maybe win Best Picture at BAFTA. Emily Watson is longlisted at BAFTA, which I'm not surprised about. So that's something that could happen as well. And then Tanya Maria for The Secret Agent, something that could be like the Marina de Tavera, kind of her performance in Roma, that was a surprise nominee. I don't know. I think it's a very strong field for 5 or 6 at this point. So I think that, Gwyneth Paltrow, Tanya Maria, Emily Watson could sneak in. I wish Mariam Afshari was part of the conversation for It Was Just an Accident, but she's gotten nowhere. I would have liked to see her longlisted at BAFTA, but that didn't happen either. I'm going to make my final prediction as the following. For Best Supporting Actress, this year, the Oscars, it's going to be Odessa Zion for Marty Supreme, Inga Ibseter-Lilius for Sentimental Value, Amy Madigan for Weapons, Wunmi Mosaku for Sinners, and Tiana Taylor for One Battle After Another. Let's move on to Best Supporting Actor. I think there's only really 6 guys that can get in, maybe 7, you know, again, kind of a smaller field this year. I think my number 1 lock is going to be Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value. Again, like he wasn't nominated at SAG, but he's loved everywhere else. It's an international performance. There's a career narrative there as well. The Academy loves a basically lead performance and supporting actor or for supporting actress. You know, Karen Culkin last year for A Real Pain. So Stellan Skarsgård is in. He's competitive for the win. He won the Golden Globes, which I predicted. And then we have Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein. I think there's a lot of passion behind that performance, even though there's not as much passion about the film, maybe the international scope, but the casting nomination at SAG, which I was pretty surprised about. When that happened, I knew he was a lock for the Best Supporting race. I mean, like I knew it from the beginning when he got the Golden Globe nomination, when he got the Critics' Choice win, you know, I figured he's in the 5. Is he my number 2? Yes, at this point. Number 3, I have Sean Penn for One Battle After Another. I think that performance, it got in a SAG. You know what I mean? I think he could still win the Oscar. Honestly, I think it's such a show-stopping performance. It's one of the best of his career. I don't know if the Academy's going to want to award him again an Oscar for a supporting role, but it could happen. And then we have Benicio del Toro, number 4. I think he did really well with critics groups. He's not getting any precursors love, really. He's nominated everywhere. So he's a lock for a nomination, I think, for One Battle After Another. Just a really fantastic performance, a lot of quotable lines, a few small beers. So I think he's gonna be a lock in as well. Number 5, I still think it's gonna be Paul Mescal for Hamnet. I thought maybe he could miss at SAG, but he didn't. He was strong. So he got in, no problem. And I think the supplemental performance to Jessie Buckley, the kind of relationship they have in that film, the casting nomination at SAG, it just kind of shows that that's going to happen. It is a little bit iffy for me, like if he's a lock. I don't think he's a lock. I think Delroy Lindo might give him a run for his money for Sinners. He didn't get the SAG nomination. I thought he would. Ended up going to Miles Catton for Sinners, but in terms of like back to a long list, we see Delroy Lindo over Miles Catton there. I would have liked to see a Golden Globe nomination. He didn't get any really nominations. Yeah, he didn't even get an Critics' Choice. That went to Adam Sandler for the 6th spot for Jake Kelly. Now, Jake Kelly, it has really dropped off this season. I think it's hurt his chances. The SAG absence was a little bit shocking for me. I had him at number 3 at SAG. I just thought that they were going to go for that performance. And Jake Kelly, he's long overdue. I mean, he still is in the long list for BAFTA, but I just don't feel it for that film anymore. After the beginning of the awards season, after National Board of Review, after AFI Top 10, it just fell off. It didn't get the Golden Globe nomination. He did get the Golden Globe nomination for supporting actor, but yeah. So I just don't see him getting in at this point. So he's my number 7. There's not really anyone else I could see getting in. I mean, Miles Catton did get the SAG nomination, so we have to consider him, but I think that Delroy Lindo will probably split the votes for him. I think that's it. I don't think there's anyone else that could possibly get nominated this year. My final prediction for Best Supporting Actor this year, the Oscars, is Benicio del Toro for One Battle After Another, Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein, Paul Mescal for Hamnet, Sean Penn for One Battle After Another, and Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value. It seems pretty locked up. I mean, I could see Delroy Lindo sneaking in over Paul Mescal, but I'm just not predicting it at this point. I don't see the evidence that he would get in. Next category, animated feature. This is like pretty easy for me. I think that it's gonna be Arco, Elio, K-pop Demon Hunters is my number 1. Little Amelie, the character Rain, beautifully animated film, just a touching story. Yeah, that's gonna be getting in. And then Zootopia 2, which is like my number 2 pick. So that's kind of locked in at this point. I mean, I could see Demon Slayer sneaking in, maybe. It just doesn't seem like an animated film they would go for. It is long listed at BAFTA. K-pop Demon Hunters was not because it wasn't eligible. So I could see some support behind Demon Slayer, which did really well at the box office. I thought maybe In Your Dreams might have a chance over Elio, but it's not happening, I don't think. Did get the Critics' Choice nomination, not the Golden Globes. So I think that's... And the Demon Slayer got in over In Your Dreams. So that just tells you something there. So my final prediction is Arco, Elio, K-pop Demon Hunters. Amelie are the character of Rain in Zootopia 2. It's just kind of like easy at this point. It's locked in my opinion. I think the only film that could maybe miss is Elio. There's not as much passion behind that film as the other four. All right, documentary feature. This is a very hard one to predict. It always seems like every year there's like one or two that are missing that seem pretty shocking, like front runners. But I think I have a good understanding of what's going to happen. The top three that were performing really well over like when the critics groups were looking at the films they really like, PGA in terms of like documentary, and then also just any kind of like the documentary guilds, they were really awarding more were The Perfect Neighbor, of course. That's my number one for the nomination, I think, or for the win. Even though this is a lot of it, it was just body cam footage that's edited together and editing very strong, so they're still going to go for it. Marvel 2 + 2 = 5, very heavily awarded this season by critics, wasn't eligible for the Oscars. So that's out of the running. Then we have My Undesirable Friends Part 1, Last Air in Moscow. It's a 5.5-hour documentary. I just don't know. I mean, since they have to watch the shortlist features, maybe they'll go for it. I just feel like it's so unlike the Academy to nominate such a long feature film and documentary. The subject matter is relevant, from what I understand, about Russian broadcasters that are basically blacklisted by the government. And it's just like some very serious subject matter. And we all know that the Academy is really liking the documentaries about Ukraine-Russia war, about Russian politics, about injustices in Russia. I don't think that's going to be like the popular pick. I think it's going to be Mr. Nobody Against Putin. That was probably going to be my number 3 pick at this point. My number 2 pick is 2,000 Meters to Anjivka, about Ukraine war. So that's been getting in year after year in the past 3 or 4 years, I believe. I think that's another front runner. It might win over Perfect Neighbor, but it's my number 2 right now. Number 4, I have Seeds. Seeds is a documentary about Black farmers in the American South, generational kind of family stories. It is a little bit less, I think, I haven't seen the film sight unseen, but it seems a little bit less triggering and traumatizing. And heavy, you know what I mean, really heavy subject matter, which the other 4 seem to be kind of dealing with. But yeah, I think that Seeds, even though I haven't seen much critics' response, so I do have Seeds at number 4. Number 5, I have The Alabama Solution. The Alabama Solution about horrible things happening in a prison in Alabama to the prisoners. It's very shocking. I saw it the other day that it's kind of at risk. I think that there's some other subject matter in this category that people are going to go for. Maybe they're going to go for something else, but it's just a really well-made documentary. I think it's very pressing, it's very relevant. I think it needs to be nominated. I really love this documentary. It was very eye-opening. And so I do have my number 5. I think we have to look out for a few other documentaries, maybe 4. One of them is Cutting Through Rocks. It is about an Iranian woman who becomes the first woman elected as council member in a rural village in Iran. This was premiered at Sundance. It got very good reviews, very good reception. There's not really another documentary dealing with the Middle East that I've seen maybe sneaking in this year. And I think that could be the film that does sneak in. So I have that number 6. Number 7, I have Come See Me in the Good Light. This is about, it kind of follows the life of American poet Andrea Gibson. It won festival favorite at Sundance. So it is well received as well. It got in at the top 5 documentaries of the National Board of Review. So they passed away from ovarian cancer a few years ago. I just feel like a film tracing the life of somebody is not like a type of film that the Academy usually goes for documentaries. I can't really think of the last one. So a lot of documentaries that are just about one person or recounting the life of one person or the work of one person, it doesn't really happen year after year, especially if it has to do with celebrities. You know, I don't think American Poet is necessarily a celebrity, but I do think it has a path forward to get into the 5. I just don't see it right now. Yanuni, which is a film about an indigenous leader. It's a film produced by Leonardo DiCaprio. I could see that kind of upsetting, getting into the 5, maybe over Alabama Solution or Seeds, maybe. I'm not a big believer in Seeds, honestly. So But Yanuni, yeah, it's about an indigenous chief in Brazil that is just trying to protect her tribal lands, and despite assassination attempts. I'm not sure. Like I said, it's like films about one person. It's not as something that the Academy really goes for year after year. It could be around. So I have that as at my number 8. The other documentaries in this category, I'm not as confident in at all. So I'm just gonna stick to my top 5. But for now, my predicted 5 documentaries for the Oscars this year for Best Documentary Feature are The Alabama Solution, 2,000 Meters to Andreevka, Mr. Nobody Against Putin, The Perfect Neighbor, and Seeds. Let's move on to some technicals. I'm going to be talking about makeup and hairstyling. I'm going to talk about costume design, production design very briefly. Obviously, the frontrunner in all these categories is Frankenstein, but let's just start out with makeup and hairstyling. So it was shocking when I saw the shortlist for Oscars and Weapons wasn't there. I was like, oh no, that isn't good for Amy Madigan. But for makeup and hairstyling, we definitely have Frankenstein. That's like the frontrunner, of course. That Jacob Elordi makeup is out of this world. I just think it's going to be, that could propel him to a win. You know what I mean? Makeup, hairstyling win for Frankenstein, supporting actor win for Jacob Elordi. I could see that happening. Number 2 pick, I have Sinners. That's been doing well this award season in makeup, as well as Wicked for Good. Maybe it misses, I don't know. I think Wicked for Good is locked. I think those are the 3 locks at this point. Then we have The Smashing Machine. Again, another like more transformational, not too transformational, but it's been doing well with like the guilds. Smashing Machine seems to be almost locked in. And then my number 5 pick, I've been really struggling with. Marty Supreme is something that could happen as well. I guess in Nuremberg as well. I'm not really crazy about that film, but I could see that kind of getting in. Alto Nights, that would be surprising to me, honestly. I mean, and also kind of like, why? One battle after another's in prosthetics, because the Sean Penn performance is such a highlight of the film. Final prediction for Best Makeup and Hairstyling at the Oscars this year is Frankenstein, Sinners, and The Ugly Stepsister, The Smashing Machine, and Wicked for Good. All right, Best Production Design. I think this is a pretty difficult category to predict this year. Honestly, I've been wanting to like make a surprise prediction for a certain film that's been ramping up recently. I don't know if I'm going to. I think that number 1 lock again is Frankenstein. That's probably gonna win. I think Sinners might give it to run for the money. The Sinners has been kind of like picking up some critics prizes. It's at the Art Directors Guild this year. You know, did very well there for nominations. Wicked for Good, again, like that one last year. It's not going to win this year, right? But it seems to be a lock at this point as well. Number 4 pick, I'm going to go with Hamnet. This isn't a lock for me at all. The production design is exquisite. And again, like a Best Picture frontrunner really tends to get into production design if it's a period film. And then my number 5 slot, I really, really, really want to go with The Secret Agent, like really bad. I think it could happen. I'm so close to like kind of switching it maybe last minute. I'm just not going to do that right now. I'm going to go with Marty Supreme. I think because I just realized how elaborate the set design is there. We have ping pong at the tournaments. It's a period film, a lot of interesting locations, a lot of stuff going on there. And I think that it's just gonna get in at the end of the day. I think we also have to look out for Avatar, Fire and Ash. The Way of Water was nominated for production design alongside visual effects and sound. So I think it definitely has a chance. I'm just not sure like if there's not enough new landscape in the film. We do have kind of like the Fire and Ash aspect of the new tribe that's kind of introduced. And then we have the Fantastic Four First Steps. That is, did really well this award season as well in production design, but I don't know, like I just don't really see it for that film here at the Academy Awards. I think it's because the top 5 are kind of very strong. And then we have Secret Agent as well that's doing really well this award season. So I think the only surprise that could happen or like alternative to the 5 that I have would be The Secret Agent. I mean, the production design in Secret Agent is really good. I can't lie. And I think that might be an inspired pick. You know what I mean? I'm just not predicting it right now. I think my final 5 predictions for Best Production Design this year at the Oscars are Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, Sinners, and Wicked for Good. All right, Best Costume Design. So, yep, again, Frankenstein, frontrunner here this year. Number 2 pick, I have Sinners as well. It kind of is mirroring production design. They do kind of tend to mirror each other in the top 4 spots. Wicked for Good in number 3. Number 4, I have Hamnet as well. I don't think that's as much of a lock, again, like in the top 3, but Hamnet is there as well for me. Number 5 spot is interesting. I've been going back and forth between several films. The Testament of Anne Lee. Now, The Testament of Anne Lee did so poorly this award season, but maybe, the past couple of weeks, people have been like seeing the film more. It's been a little bit more exposure to the performance of Amanda Seyfried, to the music. Now that it's been snubbed everywhere, maybe there might be a little bit of a reaction there. Maybe people start looking at the film and saying the costume design's really good. It's not eligible for score. It's not eligible for song. It's not eligible for cinematography, which is crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. Honestly, Sung Sung Blue got in and not The Testament of Anne Lee. I am just like, it's so upsetting to me, honestly. But costume design might happen, at the end of the day. We do have Hedda. Hedda did really well in the Costume Designers Guild as well. So I think I'm leaning towards Hedda. I think that Marty Supreme has a chance as well, but I don't think it's going to be the same 5 for costume design and the same 5 for between costume design and production design. We do have a modern film and One Battle After Another that might get in. That did get in at the contemporary costume design for the Costume Designers Guild. So, and it's Colleen Atwood. They love Colleen Atwood. I mean, she is just, a queen in this category, multiple Oscar wins. So a film that is more contemporary for costume design can get in. It's not every year, but it seems to be more sci-fi, fantasy, and period. So I'm sticking with the 5 that I have. It's kind of sad that The Kiss of the Spider Woman, no one saw that film. It would have been nice if it was shortlisted somewhere for the Oscars and maybe more eyes would be on it. But since it isn't, I can't really predict it. I think it deserves to be in the 5. Absolutely, but it's not going to be. So I think that's about it. Maybe Snow White, but I don't know. That would be a shock to me. My top 5 and my prediction for best costume design this year at the Oscars is Frankenstein, Hamnet, Hedda, Sinners, and Wicked for Good. Let's do original song now. We all know that Diane Warren gets in year after year. I didn't want to predict her. I think there's some really strong original songs this year, but honestly, I don't really love the original song categories most years. It's kind of cool. I think Golden, is the one to beat, obviously. K-pop Demon Hunters is a little bit more pop than the Oscars usually go for. So I think that, right now my number 2 is I Lied to You from Sinners. I do prefer Last Time I Seen the Sun from Sinners a little bit more, but because of that scene and how integral the song is to the film, whereas Last Time I Seen the Sun is at the very end and not as integral to the film. And since Miles Cotton gives such a great performance and he's singing in that, I really hope that there's performances this year at the Oscars, for original song. I'm not quite sure if there's going to be. I don't know if they made that decision yet, but that's my number 2 is I Lied to You from Sinners. Number 3, I have The Girl in the Bubble from Wicked for Good. It would be interesting if neither songs from Wicked for Good get in, but I think at least one will. I think The Girl in the Bubble, Ariana Grande singing this song, I think it's going to be getting in. I think it's a shoe-in. It just seems like they're going to try to nominate one original song from Wicked for Good. Train Dreams from Train Dreams, I think that's going to get in as well. Not quite sure. It's not a lock for me. Again, the first 3 spots, I'm pretty, absolutely sure about. But yeah, Train Dreams from Train Dreams. And then we have Diane Warren's Dear Me from Relentless. Yeah, I don't want to predict this, but it just seems like every single year she gets in. And every time I say, oh, this is the year that she doesn't get in, she does get in. That is my top 5. Some other songs that could get in, Drive from F1. That's a possibility. F1's doing pretty well this award season. That's definitely a possibility. It's been nominated here and there. Dream is one from Avatar, Fire and Ash. That's another possibility. I could see it getting in over Train Dreams or something. Maybe Train Dreams at number 4 is a little bit too hopeful, but I'm still sticking with it. And then we have No Place Like Home from Wicked for Good. I just don't think that song is very good. And I think that voters will agree. And then I'm going to say a possible upset could be Our Love from the Ballad of Wallace Island. International, especially British folks love that film. I am not a fan of the film, but since the film is about musicians and since it was longlisted at BAFTA for Best Picture, I think that Our Love could upset. I think that is a song that might sneak in. But I think the top 5 are pretty set in stone at this point, and I would be surprised if there is going to be a shock. So my 5 predictions for Best Original Song are Dear Me from Diane Warren, Relentless, Golden from K-Pop Demon Hunters, I Lied to You from Sinners, Chain Dreams from Chain Dreams, and The Girl in the Bubble from Wicked for Good. All right, so Best Original Score, this one is every year is pretty tricky for me, but also my number 5. It's really difficult for me to predict this. I think it's because I have some bias at what's gonna be my number 5. But number 1, obviously Sinners. I think it's a lock for the win at this point. I think that we've been expecting a little bit more competition with one battle after another in Best Original Score from Johnny Greenwood, but there are some people who don't like the score. So I think more people are going to be going for Sinners. Sinners is number 1. Number 2 is One Battle After Another. Number 3, Frankenstein. It's composed by Alexandre Desplat. They go for him year after year. He's this very well-beloved composer. And then number 4, we have Hamnet from Max Richter. So part of this film definitely does not have an original aspect to it. So it does utilize a piece of music that he composed years ago. I think it was in tribute of the Iraq War. It's called On the Nature of Daylight. This was used in Arrival and other films. It's very emotional. It's used in Hamnet quite a bit. It's in a pivotal moment near the end. The surrounding score around it is decent. Like, it's a good score. It's very effective for the film. It's a very emotional film. So the score kind of anchors those emotions for the audience. But I'm not really sure if voters are gonna maybe not nominate it because of that reason. But Wicked was nominated for a score that was not really original. So even though there's aspects of that score that are kind of not original, I don't think that's gonna matter. So I think Hamnet is still in. There's definitely 5 films vying for that number 5 spot for me. I think it's very difficult to predict. The score from Jerskin Fendrix for Begonia, I think, is absolutely amazing. Hasn't been highlighted as much this award season, but since Begonia seems to be a shoo-in for Best Picture, I think it could happen. F1's score has been nominated a lot from Hans Zimmer, but I'm not sure if that's going to be getting in. I think it's a little bit too competitive this year for the number 5 spot. Chain Dreams as well, it's going to be an original song probably. It does have a nice score. Again, kind of like Hamnet, it does anchor the emotion of the narrative. I would love to see Kanding Ray's Seurat score in. It is something that would be so cool. Tron Ares, I've been seeing a lot of nominations for from Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, but I'm gonna go with Marty Supreme. Marty Supreme's score, I think, is absolutely dazzling, is so cool. Daniel Lopatin is a genius. I love the score so much. I have the soundtrack on my Spotify. I listen to it daily. I think the Holocaust Honey, is that what it's called? Holocaust Honey scene in particular is quite moving. I think that there is the concern that maybe there's aspects of the score that are too modern. Kind of how Challenges wasn't nominated last year, which was Criminal, right? I thought it was a score that would win, honestly, but year after year, it can be very difficult for the Academy to vote in something that's very electronic, very modern sounding. They go for the more orchestral, but there's elements of Marty Supreme that are orchestral. It's very kind of hybrid. I am sticking with it. I don't care. I want to stick with it. I want to see it nominated. I want to see Daniel Lopatin nominated for this score. It's absolutely brilliant. I hope the Academy agrees with me. And again, Seurat, I think the Seurat would be an inspired choice, but I just don't think I don't think that's something that most people are going to go for in this case. So my final prediction for Best Original Score, the films are Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. It feels a little bit weird because those are kind of arguably the top 5 films of the year in Best Picture. Honestly, I could see Begonia getting into the number 5 spot, or F1, or Chain Dreams, but I'm going to stick with Marty Supreme. It's a passion choice for me, and in this case, I want to have a little bit of bias and put it in. Let's move on to Best Cinematography. Now, there were, like I said earlier, there were some really effed up choices from the Academy for the shortlist. I was really upset there was no other choice. There is no other choice, which is Criminal. Okay. And then we didn't have The Testament of Anne Lee. Like Daniel Blumberg won last year for The Blue List, and it wasn't even considered this year. I don't get it. Like Searchlight really failed that film. It should have been shortlisted. It should have been nominated, honestly, but it's not here, so I can't predict it. I think the front runner this year for cinematography is Sinners. It did not win Critics' Choice. That went to Train Dreams. I think Train Dreams is in. That's my number 3. Number 2 for me is One Battle After Another. Those are my 3 locks right now for best cinematography. And number 4, I do have Frankenstein. I think that some people were not predicting Frankenstein, but it's been getting in pretty much everywhere for cinematography. So I think it's a shoe-in at this point. It does have nice cinematography. Like, I agree. And then at number 5, they're definitely, I think they're gonna still go with a film stock kind of choice. Because Nouvelle Vague is black and white, I think that is something that could happen. Definitely. They do tend to like want to nominate black and white films. For me, the exposure was quite bright. Like I feel like when they go for black and white films, there's a lot of contrast involved. So in this case, maybe not. Hamnet might happen too from the Lucas Zal. I think that the film cinematography, it could be a little bit richer. I'm not sure. Like I think there's like some stronger choices here in terms of the cinematography. It's a great film. I think the editing is a little bit stronger than the cinematography personally, but that is definitely something that could happen. Lucas Shaw was nominated for Cold War. So, you know, the Academy is not a stranger. They like to nominate their favorites year after year. Die My Love, I'm starting to get convinced it might get in, honestly. The night scenes in particular are so well shot. Like some of the best nighttime scenes ever. Yeah, and I did get in at the British Cinematographers Awards. So that has like a newfound hope. I think that maybe it could get in. It is my number 6 right now. I'm still gonna go with Marty Supreme from Darius Kanji. I think that the 70mm print, I think it's just really good. Like, I don't know, like it hasn't been nominated as much as like maybe Hamnet or maybe F1 even. I think F1, because they didn't go with Top Gun Maverick. How are they gonna go with F1? Yeah, I don't know. Like it's just, it doesn't seem right to me. I think F1 could get in, of course. The choice is actually in cinematography are really good. Ballad of a Small Player, maybe that shocks. The color palette is immaculate. I like the color grading on that film. So that might get in as well. Sound of Falling would be inspired. I mean, that could happen. And then Begonia, a gorgeous film. Okay. I'm not quite sure about that at this point. I thought we'd be getting more love, sort of like Die My Love. Die My Love is actually doing better than Begonia in terms of cinematography, so I didn't have it way higher, Die My Love. But my top 5 right now, it seems boring. Like I want to have a surprise here and there. I just don't know it. Every year I seem to like want to put in a film that is so well shot that is probably not going to be getting in, but I have it as a surprise. Never happens. Nickel Boys last year was triggering for me not getting in. I knew it was going to happen, but it did. And then Maria got in. Now Maria's cinematography look great, but I hated that movie. But I'm just going to go with my top 5 right now. I'm going to be going with Frankenstein, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sinners, and Train Dreams, which won the Critics' Choice. Okay, moving on to Best Sound. Now, the frontrunner here, Critics' Choice winner, done very well this season everywhere. F1, couple Golden Reel Awards from the Motion Picture Sound Editors. Yeah, so that is definitely like the number 1 pick right now is the frontrunner. Number 2, I have Sinners. That also did very well this season in terms of best sound. For number 3, I do have One Battle After Another, especially that card. There's like a lot going on that action-wise that would suggest that it gets into best sound as well. Was nominated at the Golden Reel Awards for Motion Picture Sound Editors, so I'm pretty on board with that nomination as well. Frankenstein did very well as well with Motion Picture Sound Editors. So I think Frankenstein is in as well at number 4. It's very strong technically, like the other 3 films. Now, I'm going to say my number 5. Every year we have, it seems like every year recently, we have a really cool nomination. Last year we had The Wild Robot, which I predicted. Not many people were predicting that. That happened, even though it didn't win an animated feature. We had The Zone of Interest win Best Sound, Sound of Metal win Best Sound. So I think every year there seems to be something that happens that is really cool, that people love. I think that instead of Avatar, Fire and Ash, which was completely ignored by the sound editors, we're gonna have Sarat. Sarat is just like that cool nomination. I think it's going to happen. And it did really well with the Oscar shortlists. So I think that if there's one technical category, a below the line category that it gets in, besides international feature, is going to be best sound. There's a couple other films that I think that could get in. Maybe Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning didn't do so well at the guilds, but it could happen. Begonia as well. Begonia was nominated as Sound Editors, Golden Reels. So that is something that could happen as well. I'm not really predicting it. Superman, Fantastic Four, those are some other possibilities, maybe even The Lost Bus. I'm thinking Lost Bus is going to do well elsewhere. But yeah, I think in terms of best sound, my final predictions are going to be F1, Frankenstein, One Battle After Another, Sinners, and Sarat. Can't believe I'm gonna say Avatar Fire and Ash misses, but it just isn't getting the attention in this category like it's going to in visual effects, which I'm gonna talk about next. Visual effects, Avatar Fire and Ash seems to be like the runaway win in this category. F1 might have something to say about it. That's my number 2 pick. Number 3, I have Sinners. Like I said, the Academy is gonna like over nominate or just like really go crazy on Sinners. And I think it's gonna happen here. I think it's gonna happen for Frankenstein as well. Even though I think there might be better choices, but the visual effects are really good in Frankenstein, and it's just gonna really do well in the technical categories, below the line categories. It's gonna do really well overall. I think it's gonna overperform. So those are like the top 4 for me. Number 5, I don't even want to include it as a 5. I think it might be higher. The Lost Bus. It did very well at the Guilds for Visual Effects. It has immaculate fire scenes, the natural disaster that happened. I think that Hollywood's going to really relate to this film. I think if there's one place that's going to get in, it's going to be visual effects. Superman is a strong possibility as well. Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, not doing as well in this category, but that's a possibility, I think. Wicked for Good, that might happen. I'm not quite sure if that's going to be getting into visual effects this year. I don't really think so. So my final 5 predictions for best visual effects this year at the Oscars are Avatar Fire and Ash, F1, Frankenstein, The Lost Bus, and Sinners. Okay, best editing. So every year there's like one film, I think, that it's not nominated for the Oscar for Best Picture. That's in best editing, usually an action film. Okay, so I'm not sure if F1's not going to be nominated for Best Picture, but F1 is definitely on my radar. It would be helpful if the Eddies announced their nominations. I think they're front runner, even though F1 won the Critics' Choice. I think that's just like a Critics' Choice thing. I think the top film that's probably going to be winning editing is One Battle After Another. The editing of that film really is like what makes it work, honestly. There's so much going on, and it's very fast paced. The car chase scene, again, like with the sound, with the cinematography. So we have One Battle After Another at number 1. Number 2, I have Marty Supreme. Again, another fast-paced film, has been getting some recognition here and there. So Marty Supreme is my number 2. Number 3, I have Sinners. Again, another top contender for Best Picture. And then at number 4, I have F1. Okay, but number 5, I think it's gonna be Hamnet. The editing of Hamnet is like very well done. Like I just think that even though it doesn't seem at first to be a best editing nomination, the fact that won Best Picture at the Golden Globes, they do tend to put those front runners in to best editing, action films, that kind of thing. Very fast-paced films. Hamlet is not fast-paced, but I think the editing is one of the major reasons, and the flow of the emotional kind of connection that the audience had to that film, that I had to that film, is largely due not only to the performances, not only to the music, but to the editing. I think it is absolutely astounding what they did with the film. So I think Weapons is a good choice for editing as well. And there's a lot of stuff going on with Weapons that I think could get nominated in many categories. Okay, I don't think it's going to be nominated here in Best Editing, but it's not out of the realm of possibility, for me at least. Frankenstein is another one. I've been seeing predictions for editing for Frankenstein quite a bit. I think this is where it's going to miss. Okay, I think that my top 5 is pretty clear. And then we have The Perfect Neighbor would be a cool nomination as well. I just don't think that's going to happen at the Academy Awards, even though it did happen at Critics' Choice. no other choice would be the perfect nomination. I just think it's really been disappearing from the awards conversation recently. So best editing nomination seems pretty far-fetched at the moment. And I think I would have liked to see it do a little bit better in the shortlists this year at the Oscars. It just didn't do that well, except for like international feature. So I don't have it in for editing, even though I wanted to. I think like about a month ago, I was putting it in for editing. I just don't have it at this point. There can be a case for sentimental value. The editing is more forward there. It's like noticeable. And we all know that the Academy likes to go for noticeable editing. But I think there's like stronger films in the top 5. The Secret Agent would be inspired. I was thinking about including it in best editing. You know, something like a major below the line category, something that's like borderline above the line. For me, that's best editing. And also casting this year, I feel like that is more borderline above the line category. So for now, I'm not going to be putting it in for best editing, but I think it's a real possibility. It's like, it's up there for me. And those are the only films I can see kind of like getting into best editing. So my final prediction for best editing this year at the Oscars is F1, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. All right, let's move on to best casting on that note. So the SAG Awards, I was very shocked that Frankenstein got in. Okay. I had sentimental value. I thought they would go for sentimental value. Finally, like an international film and best casting. That Frankenstein choice was interesting to me. I don't think it's going to happen here at the Oscars. My number one choice is Sinners, because that has just been winning everywhere. I think that's our winner this year for best casting, a new category, which I love to see. But yeah, Sinners is my number one. Number 2, I have One Battle After Another. I think that might compete as well. Number 3 spot, I have Marty Supreme, another SAG nominee. Hamnet, number 4. Personally, I think it gets in. I can see a world where it doesn't get in. Maybe Frankenstein or another film might take its place. Weapons, I could see getting into best casting. I think it can be a tough sell. I've been thinking about it for a minute. I think my number 5 spot is going to go to The Secret Agent. I think that if you see this film, at the end, they kind of go through the whole cast and they highlight each actor and actress. So I think that because The Secret Agent is getting so much momentum and we have this new category in best casting, I think they're going to go for it. I think they're going to do it. This just seems to be that category that we might have a surprise. I know a lot of people are not predicting it, but I have The Secret Agent in. So my final prediction for best casting this year at the Oscars is Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, and Sinners. All right, let's move on to international feature film. Oh my God. I think there's only 6 like films I can see getting in, honestly. I think we have a very good field. Maybe there will be a surprise, like a super duper surprise, like a Belen or a Kukuho or a President's Cake. Those definitely have a chance. I think there's a top 4. I think it used to be locked in for 5 for me until like the other day, because I thought about it. I saw the BAFTA long list for Best Director. And if you know, you know, when you saw that name, if you're following, well, number 1 spot is obviously Secret Agent. At this point, it's got all the momentum from Brazil. Number 2 spot, I have Sentimental Value from Norway. That's a Best Picture lock. A lot of acting categories. It might get into Best Casting. I might be silly. I just don't have it for right now. But I think it's, it's an international feature. It was just an accident. It's a lock as well from Jeff Arpanahy. Used to be the front runner, but it's not anymore. That could still happen. Okay. It could still win international feature. I just don't think it's as beloved as The Secret Agent and Sentimental Value. Number 4 spot, I have Sarat. Did very well in the Oscar shortlists. I think it's going to do very well here. It's going to be Best Sound and Best International Feature nominees. Maybe more. Who knows? Best Score, Best Cinematography, stuff like that. I think it's just going to get the 2 nominations, and this is going to be one of them. Number 5 spot, I had no other choice. Actually, my number 3 spot for so long. And then I just feel like it's been diminishing. I mean, the Golden Globes nominations were cool for Lee Byung-hun, for International Feature, for Best Comedy Musical. That was awesome. I think it still could get in. But when I saw who was included for the Best Director shortlist at BAFTA, Kauthar Benhania for The Voice of Hin Rajab, and how powerful that film is. Okay, from Tunisia. She's been nominated before for The Man Who Sold His Skin. That's very helpful. International acclaim. I think it's going to get an over no other choice. I really do at this point. And I hate that Part-Time Book is going to be snubbed again in this category, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen, honestly. Like I said, there's some other films that might get in, but I'm not really seeing it right now. So my final prediction for Best International Feature this year is, and this is the order they're going to do it in because they do it by country, I believe. From Brazil, The Secret Agent. France, It Was Just an Accident. From Norway, Sentimental Value. From Spain, Sarat. And from Tunisia, The Voice of Henry Job. I hate that No Other Choice is not here for me. It could still happen, but I think it is between No Other Choice and The Voice of Henry Job. And I think The Voice of Henry Job has that edge. That long list at the BAFTAs just cemented it for me. All right, let's move on to the screenplay categories. Adapted screenplay is a lot easier to predict than original screenplay this year. I think last year was kind of the opposite. But for adapted screenplay this year, there's pretty much a top 5 front runners. There's a number 6 that is not doing so well for me. That's No Other Choice. I was kind of predicting to get in until I saw what was going on with some of the writing categories for the guilds this year. It's just not happening for No Other Choice, it seems. I don't know, it's not really eligible a lot of the time because it is an international feature. They're not in the guilds, but it's not getting as much recognition as I would like to see. What I have for number 1 for adapted screenplay right now is One Battle After Another. That is a clear front runner. Number 2, I have Hamnet, won Best Picture at Golden Globes. Like I said, it's a front runner at BAFTA. It's long listed at BAFTA. And number 3, I do have Begonia. All right, I think that this was lower before, and now it's higher just because it seems to be getting into Best Picture. It's doing very well. At this end of the award season, from Will Tracy, I do have Begonia. At number 4, I have Train Dreams. Okay. Train Dreams, I think, is happening. And number 5, I do have Frankenstein. I don't think Frankenstein needs an adapted screenplay nomination. I would much rather see No Other Choice, A Pillion or something like that. I think Wake Up Dead Man is pretty much dead in the water. It's getting shortlisted. It's getting longlisted. I'm seeing it here and there at BAFTAs, at Oscars. But I just don't see that happening. You know what I mean? The film is the least well-received film, I think, from the Knives Out trilogy. Now, Knives Out, I think, did get the Best Screenplay nomination, and Glass Onion as well, but I just don't think it's going to happen again for Wake Up Dead Man. I think they're going to give it to someone else. But I would much rather see Pillion. I think that's going to be nominated at the BAFTAs for Best Adapted Screenplay. But yeah, I miss No Other Choice in this. Why is this not part of the awards conversation anymore? It beats me. If it doesn't get into international feature, I don't see it getting into screenplay. Okay, so I think the clear top 5 are Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, One Battle After Another, and Train Dreams. Moving on to Best Original Screenplay, this category, along with Best Director, is stressing me out. I think there's a clear top 3. Okay, the clear top 3 is Sinners at number 1. And number 2, we have Marty Supreme. That's been getting some wins this season as well. So those are the top 2, Sinners and Marty Supreme. At number 3, I have Sentimental Value. Did very well at the European Film Awards. Okay, Joachim Trier is getting a lot of love for the international community. And Sentimental Value is nominated at Golden Globes in a category that did not differ between original screenplay and adapted screenplay. All right, so that's getting in. What is going to be the last 2? I think there are 5 films vying for this spot. And this gets really tricky when there's 5 films vying for 2 spots. Okay, it can go many ways. So the 5 films I'm looking at are Blue Moon, Weapons. Yes, Weapons. Okay. It Was Just an Accident, that has done really well this award season up until now, but it is longlisted at BAFTA along with The Secret Agent. And we have Sorry Baby. So I just don't see Sorry Baby missing. I think it's going to be the one film that is the sole nomination is for Sorry Baby. Okay. I think that Eva Victor nomination for Golden Globe for Best Actress helps. I think the shout out from Julia Roberts helps. I think all the attention on Eva Victor recently has been very helpful for the film. I think that filmmakers love Sorry Baby when they have seen it. And I think a lot of them have been seeing it recently. I think Ryan Coogler did an interview where he said that was like his favorite film of the year or something, or one of his favorites. So I think in original screenplay, this is where it makes sense for Ava Victor to get an Oscar nomination. I don't think people are predicting it right now, and I don't understand why. I mean, it would suck if I didn't see Sorry Baby there, but that is my number 4. All right. At number 5, I could not figure it out. Honestly, like those other 4 films, Blue Moon, Weapons, which I think is going to get the WGA nomination. It was just an accident, and Secret Agent. I can't tell. Like I had Weapons in, honestly. Like I thought for a second, Secret Agent, and it was just an accident, would have like some vote splitting happening. Some people preferring one or the other, and then Weapons getting in everywhere. And while I do think that could happen for sure, I had to change it recently. I'm going to go with it was just an accident. I just think with the awards package I'm expecting, that it makes sense to have Jeff Arpanahi here, because I'm not sure if he's going to be getting into Best Director at this point. So yeah, and I think The Secret Agent has a chance. I just haven't heard anyone talk about that film and the recognition for its screenplay. And although I believe that there's a real possibility it gets in alongside It Was Just an Accident, or maybe in place of It Was Just an Accident, I just don't think that's the spotlight of the film in terms of like what's going to be happening with the awards package or the nominations package. So I don't have it in right now. And Blue Moon is a very talky film. I can see that happening for Robert Kaplow. I can see it happening. And I think I saw there was an anonymous ballot like conversation happening where someone was saying, oh, I love Blue Moon. I would nominate Richard Linklater for anything. Well, he didn't write the screenplay, but it does have a chance. Okay. And it helps that Ethan Hawke is probably getting to Best Actor at this point, but I have to just go with It Was Just an Accident. It's done so well in this category, and I think if people aren't going to be putting him in Best Director, he's going to have to get into Best Original Screenplay, and that's what makes sense the most to me, personally, because I already have Secret Agent in casting, which It Was Just an Accident was not eligible for. I think having 2 international films makes sense in this category. I think 3 is a little bit overkill, but like I said, Secret Agent might get in over It Was Just an Accident, but I don't really want that to happen personally. Just my own bias. So my final prediction for Best Original Screenplay is It Was Just an Accident, Marty Supreme, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Sorry Baby. All right, let's move on to Best Actress. Okay, Best Actress. Okay, I can see this going a couple ways, maybe 2 or 3 ways. Okay, the lock is obviously Jessie Buckley for Hamnet. She's probably sweeping the season. At number 2, I have Rose Byrne. I've been hearing people saying, oh, Rose Byrne might get snubbed for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. No, it's not happening. I think that she might be competitive for the Oscar win. I think that she might be competitive for the SAG win as well. But, you know, she is a pretty clear number 2 spot at this point. I don't understand who else would be the number 2 pick when she's been doing just as good as Jessie Buckley in terms of like the critics wins. For critics groups, for number 3, I have Emma Stone for Begonia. She's been doing a lot better this season than I thought she was gonna be doing. She's been getting absolutely everywhere. SAG Awards, longlisted at BAFTA, Critics' Choice, Golden Globes. It's probably gonna be happening. Begonia is getting a little bit stronger for Best Picture. In terms of a nomination, it's gone up for me for like number 11 to number 7. So I think at this point, we're going to have to accept that Emma Stone's getting another nomination for Best Actress for Begonia. She's not going to be winning, but she's very strong in terms of a nomination. At number 4, I do have Renata Reinsve for Sentimental Value. I've been hearing talk about her getting snubbed this award season. I don't think it's happening. I don't have her as a lock, but she won Best Actress at European Film Awards. She's along the same track as like Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall. There's going to be one international performance in Best Actress this year, since international film is doing so well and the international audience is behind her. Okay. And we all remember when she wasn't recognized for Worst Person in the World, when she should have. Wasn't necessarily a snub, I don't know, but she's going to be recognized here for Sentimental Value. It's happening. Okay, guys, stop talking this into fruition. So number 5 spot, I think the only 3 women that could possibly get in this category are Kate Hudson for Song Song Blue, Chase Infinity for One Battle After Another, and Amanda Seyfried for The Testament of Anne Lee. Since The Testament of Anne Lee, like I said, is not doing that well this award season, I think there's a lot of passion behind that performance, okay? And I think that people might just see like negativity towards this film entering into the award season and how not so well it's done. She did get the Golden Globe nomination. She did get the Critics' Choice nomination. No SAG. She is not long listed at BAFTA, which sucks, you know. But I think the when it premiered at Venice, you know, it was a clue that like maybe the international audience doesn't love Tissima Van Lee as much as here on this side of the pond. And I think it could happen. I think the passion behind that performance could catapult it into the final five. Also, Kate Hudson for Song Sung Blue. I was kind of like surprised she got into the long list for BAFTA, honestly. Like, and she got the SAG nomination. She has the Golden Globe nomination. And that is a career kind of narrative performance. I think that she's long overdue for another Oscar nomination. And the film is not as good as the other films that in this category, but that doesn't necessarily matter, right? So I think she's very strong for number 5, honestly, at this point. And I would not be surprised if I saw her nominated on Oscar nominations morning. Her name announced, Kate Hudson, in the middle of the group. But Chase Infinity, she's in the Best Picture frontrunner this year. You know, I am kind of scared of the Alana Haim effect. You remember Alana Haim for Licorice Pizza? Everyone was loving on that performance, as being nominated absolutely everywhere. She did not get into Best Actress at the Oscars. You know, I think it's because of the final kind of precursors run with SAG, with BAFTA, and then she didn't get nominated for the Oscar. A lot of people were thinking that she's going to in the beginning, but the kind of debut performance, and she is in that film a lot more than one battle after another with Chase Infinity. She was just really spectacular in the film. And there's a kind of like this curse of leading actress with Paul Thomas Anderson. I mean, a lot of his films don't have a leading actress, all right? But like Vicky Krieps did not get in for Phantom Thread, all right? And she was getting recognized here and there. As well as Alana Haim for Licorice Pizza. And now we have Chase Infinity in her breakout role, okay? And the acting is immaculate. It's more of a physical performance than anything. It's a great breakout role, but a lot of people are thinking that she might get snubbed. I think it's a very real possibility. She has been getting in absolutely everywhere. The SAG nomination really helps. You have to think like maybe what actors in particular are thinking about her performance. If it's above Kate Hudson, if there's as much passion, is she gonna be like ranked higher for most people? I feel like this is not a fair comparison, to be honest. When Carla Sofia Gascon got in last year for Emilia Perez, she's in the film less than Zoe Saldana, I believe, but she got in for lead actress. Now, Chase Infinity is the most in terms of like the female performances, so that's why she went lead. And I predicted that months ago when people were like, "Oh, she's getting in for Best Supporting Actress, maybe winning." I said, "No, she's going lead. Like that's the lead performance the film's going to go to." Warner Bros. Is smarter than that. They're going to want to go for not 3 supporting actress performances, possibly nominated and like all missing at the end of the day, or maybe just one being nominated. So I think in lead actress, between Kate Hudson, Amanda Seyfried, and Chase Infinity, I have to go with Chase Infinity. Like I said, I think that even though she's not going to be like the favorite to win at all, because she's gotten in everywhere, because it's a breakout role in a Best Picture frontrunner or winner, like lock winner, I think that she just has to get in. Like, I just think that's going to happen. But I would not be surprised if Kate Hudson got in, maybe Amanda Seyfried. Cynthia Erivo is not happening. All right. Jennifer Lawrence is not happening. They're both long listed at BAFTA, but I don't see them happening. I think Tessa Thompson would be a nice surprise as well for Hedda. And I didn't talk about Nina Hoss as supporting actress for Hedda, but maybe if there's enough in international support, both of them could get in, maybe a surprise. But I don't think enough people have seen Hedda for it to get in anywhere besides maybe like costume design, like I predicted earlier. But yeah, so my final 5 leading ladies I have for Best Actress, as predicted this year for the Oscars, are Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, Chase Infinity for One Battle After Another, Emma Stone for Begonia, and Renata Reinza for Sentimental Value. I think that's the way it's going to go. I don't want to overthink it. I don't want to be like, oh my God, Kate Hudson, you know, career-defining performance. We already have like 2. We have Jessie Buckley. We already have Rose Byrne, you know what I mean, with a kind of career narrative where it's like, she hasn't been recognized yet, let's put her in. I feel like I'm taking a chance here with Chase Infinity. You know, I don't think she needs to be nominated. Personally, I would like to see Amanda Seyfried there for Tessima Van Lee, but I think Kate Hudson has a better chance, honestly. But Chase Infinity's been getting in everywhere, and I would just be surprised if she didn't get in, honestly. Like, and she's long listed at BAFTA. So it's, you know, I think this is gonna happen at this point. Let's move on to lead actor. Now, I think I'm pretty much locked for lead actor. It's not gonna be the same as SAG. It might, you know, it might happen, but number one choice is Timothée Chalamet for Marty Supreme. I think he's going to be sweeping this season. And Best Actor, maybe not SAG. Maybe SAG will go to like Michael B. Jordan. I could see that happening. Michael B. Jordan's my second choice, right? I think a lot of people are predicting him to be snubbed as well. I don't understand kind of like the Sinners comparisons to Barbie of like missing in categories strangely, like Best Director, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress. You know, this is very strange to me. I just don't see the comparison between the two at all. It's strange. And there's people have been trying to explain it to me. No, you guys make no sense. I'm sorry. It makes no sense. I think there's a lot of people that agree with me that this makes no sense and it's bullshit. So Michael B. Jordan is the number 2 pick. I think he's a lock. He's not number 5. He's number 2. He's been recognized so much this award season, not at the precursors, but he is my clear number 2 for Sinners. Okay. Number 3, I have Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another acting performance beginning in everywhere. He's going to be getting in. People love Leonardo DiCaprio. You know, he's missed for some films here and there. Killers of the Flower Moon, most notably, missing from Best Actor. But I don't think that's going to matter because One Battle After Another is like another performance of his it's in top echelon. Honestly, it's Killers of the Flower Moon. That performance is not as memorable as this performance. And so he's getting in. He's a lock. Number 4, I have Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent. The Golden Globe win was huge. Secret Agent getting the momentum it needs. International community loving this performance. So he's definitely going to be getting in. A little bit concerning, he isn't long listed at BAFTA. Jesse Plemons is for Begonia. I know a lot of people are thinking like it doesn't make sense for Emma Stone to get in, for Begonia to get in Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, maybe other categories, and Jesse Plemons misses. I just feel like it's so tight this year. And so my number 5 pick is Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, another film that's done very well this award season, considering that I wasn't really expecting it to be honest. It's a career narrative performance. Again, I mean, he's been nominated for Best Supporting Actor, I believe, twice for Boyhood and Training Day, but he hasn't been in lead actor yet. And he was snubbed. I mean, one of the biggest snubs in the past, was it 10 years or so, for First Reformed. First Reformed was nominated for Screenplay for Schrader, and he was not in Best Actor. I mean, he was like winning so much. I mean, that was pretty shocking to me when that happened. So I think he's going to be getting it for Blue Moon. I think the performance is too strong. I think Jesse Plemons just barely misses. It was nice to see him at SAG. I think Joel Edgerton, I don't think that's happening for Train James, but a lot of people are like starting to think that it might instead of Ethan Hawke. That doesn't make sense to me. It's a fantastic performance. I just don't think it gets into the Oscars. And those are the only 7 that can see getting in, honestly. Dwayne Johnson for The Smashing Machine, that's a lost cause. It didn't get in at SAG like I thought it was going to. It went to Jesse Plemons. So Jesse Plemons was like leagues above Dwayne Johnson at this point. I have Jesse Plemons at number 6. And there's like really no one else. George Clooney for Jay Kelly, that's not happening. Jeremy Allen White, Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, it's not happening. My final prediction for Best Actor at the Academy Awards this year is Timothée Chalamet for Marty Supreme, Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another, Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, and Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent. All right, another category that I am like completely confused by, and I'm not wanting to overthink it at this point. I don't want to overthink it. Best Director. So the DGA nominations came out, and I was not the most surprised at what happened. We had Guillermo del Toro for Frankenstein, Ryan Coogler, Paul Thomas Anderson, Chloe Zhao, and Josh Safdie. That seemed very on brand with DGA. I'm wondering if Guillermo del Toro can sneak in here and upset the other international directors. The one to beat is Paul Thomas Anderson at this point. I was thinking Jeff Arpanahy might be competitive for Best Director this year, just on basis of like what he went through to make that film, what he's been through in his whole career, how dangerous it's been for him to make the films that he's made, and just how like against the grain his films are. But yeah, it was just an accident. It's kind of like It's going down. It's lost momentum so bad, like so bad. All right. And he's not even longlisted at BAFTA. That was a shock to me. So my clear front runner, 100% at this point, is Paul Thomas Anderson. My number 2 pick is Ryan Coogler. Oh my God, I've been hearing it's gonna be snubbed for Best Director. It's not happening. Stop. Ryan Coogler's getting in for Sinners. It's a lock. Okay. That's just ridiculous. Like he's gotten every single nomination that he needed. And the film is very strong in Best Picture. Okay. And I know there can be like some comparisons to Edward Berger for Conclave. That's just not the same. Okay. There's going to be enough American filmmakers that are going to be wanting to nominate Ryan Coogler for Sinners, and it's going to be well deserved. It's a vision. Like, he deserves to be nominated, and he's going to be nominated at the end of the day. Number 3, I have Chloe Zhao. She was someone that I was thinking, but I was hearing some like conversation about like filmmakers don't really like the film as much. And there's a lot of like weird stuff happening with Hamnet, but won Best Picture, all right, at the Golden Globes. I think the speech at the Golden Globes helps as well. I think this is going to happen. So Chloe Zhao is my number 3 pick for Hamnet. Number 4, I had Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme. I think the DGA nomination kind of locked it in for me. I had him at number 5 since like November, and then it kind of fell off for a second because I was like considering Guillermo del Toro for Frankenstein, and then Marty Supreme didn't do as well as like Critics' Choice or something when nominations came out. But we can't like pay attention to that. And then SAG happened. Marty Supreme's been doing much better. He's not listed at BAFTA as well. I think it's just a clear choice. You know what I mean? And I could see him not getting in. I think that there's only 3 locks in this category with the Best Director. So my number 5 spot, who does it go to? I was thinking maybe Kleber Mendonça Filho for The Secret Agent. That was something that I'm very much considering. I'm going to consider it up until the night before the Oscars nominations morning. It's very hard for me to put him in. He isn't longlisted at BAFTA, so that's a problem. We have Joachim Trier. He's longlisted at BAFTA. He won the European Film Award for Best Director. And then we have Jafar Panahi for It Was Just an Accident. That could happen too. I've been hearing like some talk about Mona Passport for Tessima Van Lee. That's not happening. And then some talk for Yorgos Lanthimos for Begonia. I think that could happen. That could be a shock. I think Guillermo del Toro for Frankenstein is more of a possibility. So it's very hard for me to say 6, 7, 8. I think it's between Guillermo del Toro, Joachim Trier, Mendonça Filho, and Jafar Panahi. I think because the stats for European Film Awards Best Director winners is just through the roof. Okay. I think the last time one wasn't nominated was, I think 4 years ago, there was a film called Quo Vadis Aida, directed by Jasmila Jabanic. So hopefully I pronounced that right. That wasn't nominated for an Oscar. There was no one really that year in contention for Best Director, maybe for the Oscars, except maybe Florian Zeller for The Father. Florian Zeller did not get nominated for Best Director that year for the Oscars. I think that he would have needed to win Best Director at European Film Awards over Jasmila Jabanic, but he won Screenplay. You know, that's something that, you know, it's reminding me of Jafar Panahi for It Was Just an Accident. He's not going to win Screenplay, I don't think, for the Academy Awards this year, but I think our 5th spot is Joachim Trier. I mean, Joachim Trier won. Ruben Östlund, Triangle of Sadness. He actually is a 2-time winner. And then we have Thomas Vinterberg, Another Round. You know, he won it. I think that was the first year where we had that kind of surprise nomination for Another Round for Thomas Vinterberg. And so it just kind of continued from there, except that one kind of like the other ones, Justine Chier for Anatomy of a Fall, Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez. You know, it just seems inevitable. And I thought Joachim Trier was going to be the Edward Berger of the season, where it's like he's so strong in director and he seems like he's going to be getting in, and then he just doesn't at the end of the day. But I just think it's too strong. 4 out of 5 from DGA in the Oscar nominees, that being Safdie, Zhao, Coogler, and Paul Thomas Anderson. And then we're going to have the international director be Joachim Trier. I think that maybe Guillermo del Toro does have a slight chance if he could edge out. He could edge out. People love him. I think we just have to go with the stats at this point. Every year for the past how many years? I think since 2018, only once not getting in. We have to go with it. I wanted to like put in Park Chan-wook as well, but like I said, no other choice doesn't seem to be getting that recognition it deserves this award season. So my final prediction for Best Director this year is Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another, Ryan Coogler for Sinners, Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme, Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value, and Chloe Zhao for Hamnet. We are finally to Best Picture. Finally. Oh my God. So Best Picture of the year, top 10. I have been struggling. I've been struggling. I think there's like 9 films that are pretty much locked in. It reminds me of last year when I was like, oh, I have my 9 and what's my 10? So I'm going to go with what just feels right this time. Number 1, One Battle After Another. Number 2, Sinners. Number 3, Hamnet. Number 4, Marty Supreme. Number 5, Frankenstein. Number 6, Sentimental Value. Number 7, Begonia. Number 8, I have Secret Agent. Number 9, I have Train Dreams, not nominated for Golden Globes. It was nominated for PGA, so it's getting in. Like, that's happening. And then our number 10, Weapons. Anyone? So I was thinking Weapons. I just found it hard to believe Weapons was going to get in over It Was Just an Accident for Best Original Screenplay. We have Weapons. We have Sorry Baby. I mean, that could happen. Maybe like a Woman Talking where it gets into like screenplay and picture only. I would love a Sorry Baby nomination for Best Picture. That would be kind of a cool mix. I think that would make a good top 10. F1, I just don't believe F1 is happening. I think the argument is strong that people have. It's in best editing, sound. It's strong technically. You know, we might need like kind of like that box office film. There's one here already, Sinners, you know, but we might have another in F1. That might happen. And Top Gun Maverick was popular when that came out. It was nominated for Best Picture. So it's possible Krasinski gets his F1 in. I'm not buying it. I'm not doing it. I don't think it's going to get in. I just don't. I really don't. I don't think it has as much passion behind it, honestly. But, you know, it could happen. Like, I'm not counting it out at all. I was thinking about it for like 3 days. I also am considering Blue Moon with the performance Ethan Hawke. I think it gets into original screenplay. I might be like, Sony Pictures Classics, they kind of have a way getting films in. That number 10 spot last year was I'm Still Here. So that could happen for sure. But I just can't go against It Was Just an Accident. I can't do it. I think it's going to be nominated for Best Picture. The stab behind Palme d'Or winners getting into Best Picture over the past 5 years, save from not Titan, obviously. That was just not a film that would be nominated for Best Picture. It Was Just an Accident. It does borderline on like, is this like a Best Picture material? I just feel like F1 doesn't deserve to be in the top 10. Weapons, I would much rather see there than F1. Okay, so if Weapons gets nominated, which I've been predicting on and off for the past couple of months, honestly, and when I saw the PGA nominations, I'm like, this is a real chance that Weapons could get in. But I do think it's just right outside the top 10. I think I'm going to stick with It Was Just an Accident. I know this is kind of probably a boring choice. I do want to be like the girl that says Weapons gets in to the top 10. I love that film. It's a number 2 film of the year. Close behind is It Was Just an Accident. And I think that the awards package of Screenplay, International Feature, and Best Picture for It Was Just an Accident just makes the most sense. So my final prediction for Best Picture this year at the Oscars is Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, It Was Just an Accident, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams. All right, what do you all think about my nominations predictions? What are your predictions? Comment below. Like and subscribe on my channel. BAFTA's coming up, SAG Awards, all the ceremonies are coming up. BAFTA, I'm gonna make some BAFTA predictions soon. I have to really hurry up. The long lists are interesting. I love making BAFTA predictions, honestly. I think I'm better than most making BAFTA predictions, especially with winners. So let's see what happens. I'm going to be doing my reaction to the Oscar nominations. I'm so nervous, honestly. I'm really nervous this year. I kind of want to see the Weapons surprise, but I don't want to see It Was Just an Accident left out. I think that just would not be fair. Would not be fair at all. So until next time, I'll see you at the movies. I'll see you at Oscar nominations morning. Take care, guys.